Hello! I'm sitting here in my recliner with a belated review of American Animals. Now, I had no idea what this movie was when it was in theaters, never even heard of it, but since it left theaters and went on Redbox and stuff like that, I read some reviews of it, and it got some pretty glowing reviews, and the story seemed kind of interesting. And that story goes that four college kids decide to plan a heist to steal some rare books and artwork from their university's campus library and sell that work on the black market for millions of dollars. And it's based on a true story, and it's a fascinating one to be sure. The first thing I want to mention when talking about this movie is just the way it's put together is so unique. A lot of these outlandish heist movies are often played for laughs, for comedy. This one's played for drama, but more than that, it's kind of a cross-cut Frankenstein's monster of a retelling with actors and of a documentary. It cuts between reenactment of all of the stuff that happened throughout the heist and the planning stages and stuff. That's spliced in with actual interviews with the actual kids that were in the heist. And I think this choice to splice together a Hollywood-grade heist film with a true story documentary really makes it more interesting than it would have been if it was just one or the other. And more than that, not only is it spliced together, but sometimes they cross over. Sometimes the real life characters will bleed into the reenactment, the retelling, and you'll get the real person interacting with the actor portraying the person, and they have some really enlightening and interesting dialogue that really deepens the movie. The best thing that does for the movie is it gives you a little more insight into what was going on in the kids' heads as they were planning this and carrying it out. If it had just been a Hollywood movie, the acting's good in this movie, so you'd probably be able to tell what's happening, but they don't explicitly explain their feelings on it. The documentary aspect really offers a little bit more insight, and it makes the actions of the kids a little more meaningful. You kind of feel for them a little bit more. They really go into depth to explain that these kids they wanted something to spice their life up. And like a lot of us, I think, certainly myself included, at some point when you're young, you kind of see your life on railroad tracks going to a destination, and maybe that's kind of boring to you. Maybe you want to spice things up. For me, I left my hometown to go halfway across the country to college. That's what I did to spice things up, and I'm happy I did it. These kids had a different idea. They decided to become thieves and plan this epic heist that would define their lives. But on that note, this movie gets especially interesting and a little deeper because it explores the idea that this wasn't just an epic heist for these kids. This thing ruined their lives, and most of them regret it deeply. So it's not one of these heist movies where they play up just how cool it is with this little Mission Impossible music and pulling off this perfect heist and just how thrilling it is. They explore the fact that there are some thrills involved, but the repercussions following it, this movie gets into much more than other movies of the similar fabric would. And it really deepens the characters and makes the story a little bit more profound. So I think thematically that angle really gives the viewer a little bit more to chew on in terms of the meaning of it. But as a narrative structure, it makes things a little bit more quick-paced, more fun, to be honest. As serious as it takes itself at the end, the actual planning and the heist part of it is entertaining. And the fact that it cuts between documentary and reenactment, it creates this awesome thing where all the real life people, they remember details of the story differently. So you'll get a retelling, in the reenactment they'll play through the scene one way, and then they'll cut to the interviews and they'll be like, that's not how it happened. And then they'll go from another character the way he remembers it. And it just makes the story a little bit more entertaining. All the performances by this young cast are great. I do want to give a special shout out to Evan Peters, though. His character was kind of the wild card character, and I felt like he had the biggest arc in the film, and he really pulled it off well. I've only seen him as Quicksilver in the X-Men movies and in a couple episodes of the American Horror Story that I watched. So I don't know much about his career right now, but he did a really good job. He pulls off the cocky, narcissistic character, but then he goes through serious transformations that I won't spoil, but it's a really good performance. I really like this movie a lot. If I had a negative, it would be that for me the conclusion of the film didn't really pack the punch I was expecting it to leading up to it. I thought it built really well. It had this nice arc of heists are fun and cool and thrilling, but all the repercussions, it makes you think a little bit, but I don't think it quite stuck the landing with its message. I was expecting the feels at the end, and at the last second, when the credits rolled, I didn't quite get it. But it's really minor because the film, more than just being entertaining, it is a thought-provoking film, and it's very well put together, very unique filmmaking style that I really appreciated. So with that being said, I think this film is just an inch from greatness for me. But it has pretty broad appeal, so I think I would recommend this film to anyone who likes heist movies, anyone who likes documentaries. I would even slap a coming-of-age tale disclaimer on this movie as well. So if you like that sort of thing, you know, youth and rebellion type stuff, I think it has broad appeal to a big audience. So I'd recommend going out and seeing it. It's a pretty good time. That's all I have to say about it, though, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye-bye.